Lp5 Assignment, the Emergency Operations Center. Roles and responsibilities of an Emergency Operations Center. What is an Emergency Operations Center? The Emergency Operations Center is a vital preparedness tool that is used in the coordination of low-frequency and high-risk incidents. The EOC. In today's public safety service, most disasters are managed by the fire or law enforcement agency using the National Incident Management System or Incident Command System and effective roles and responsibility procedures. Coordination of all the multi-agency incident operations, record keeping, and recovery efforts are generally best conducted in an emergency operations center. Being prepared. Every community, whether large or small, will face the possibility of an overwhelming emergency incident. The ability of a community to acquire and allocate necessary resources hinges on being prepared. Critical components of the EOC. The first most critical component of an EOC is the individuals who staff it. They must be properly trained and have the proper authority to carry out actions that are necessary to respond to disasters. The second most critical component of an EOC is the communication system. This can be from simple word of mouth to sophisticated encrypted communications networks, but it must provide for a redundant path to ensure that both situational awareness information and strategic orders can pass into and out of the facility without interruption. Mobilizing the EOC. The EOC mobilizes people and equipment to handle incidents that are outside the ability of any single agency to resolve. The EOC needs to be separate from the command post and away from the scene and staffed with individuals who have been trained. Who is best suited to staff the EOC? The EOC is comprised of higher level administrators who will respond when the business, service, or educational process of your organization or community is disrupted by a critical incident of any nature. Depending on the size of the organization, the EOC will be comprised of vice presidents, associate vice presidents, directors, and assistant director level personnel. When would you activate an EOC? The size, scope, and seriousness of an incident are the best determinants in making the decision in activating the EOC. When the incident is of a size or grows to a size that will disrupt the day-to-day operations or good name of the organization or surrounding community, then you need to consider activating the EOC. The basic EOC functional roles. The emergency manager. The mission of the emergency manager is to organize, direct, and coordinate the EOC. The emergency manager offers support to the scene, provide and seek advice from the executive policy group, and oversee continuity of operations and recovery efforts. This person will need to have excellent leadership and communication skills. The emergency manager will be creating and communicating the big picture for the entire EOC. The Deputy Emergency Manager. The mission of the Deputy Emergency Manager is to assist the emergency manager by monitoring and mentoring the EOC staff and section activities. They will also assume the emergency manager position when he or she is temporarily unavailable, also help to maintain EOC focus on the scene support, consequence management, and continuity of operation issues. This person should have the ability to multitask and will have to record and listen for content at the same time. The command staff. The scribe is part of the emergency manager staff. This person will chronologically document pertinent information on all significant actions, decisions, directives, and communications, as well as assist in gathering all documents, charts, and notes from the EOC for event documentation. The skill set of this person, they must have the ability to multitask and have to record and listen for content at the same time. The scribe will need to keep a written or electronic log of the critical information received, decisions made, and actions taken. The Public Information Officer. The mission of the Public Information Officer represents the face of the organization during times of crisis. The Public Information Officer will gather event-related information from the emergency management, section chiefs, and EOC command staff. The Public Information Officer will also provide periodic updates to the media, the EOC personnel, and EPG staff, and establish a media staging area. The Public Information Officer should be unflappable and a polished speaker who projects a good image to the public. He or she must be trained in dealing with the media and writing press releases. The Safety Officer. The mission of the Safety Officer is to ensure ongoing assessment of hazardous environments, coordinate consequence management and continuality of operation safety efforts, as well as implementing measures to promote responder safety during EOC-related operations, as well as reviewing all plans from the Operations Coordination and/or Planning Coordination section for safety concerns. This person should have a background in health and safety and should be familiar with OSHA standards. Also, having a strong personality is crucial in this role, because the safety officer is the only person who can stop a plan or action in its tracks. The Liaison Officer. The mission of the Liaison Officer is to identify necessary support agency personnel and make them available to the EOC. He or she will establish support in work areas and monitor EOC operations to identify current and potential interorganizational problems, as well as updating agency representatives with approved information and maintain an activity log of all related transactions. The skill set of this person should be that of a professional party planner. It is vital that agency representatives be made comfortable and given the accommodations to carry out their functions appropriately. The Operations Coordination Chief. The mission of the Operations Coordination Chief is to directly manage all consequence-related operational activities such as scene support, consequence management, continuality of operations, and restoration of normal operations. He or she must possess the ability to direct and control others with clarity and decisiveness. This person will need to delegate as well as reach out to other sections like planning coordination for long-term needs and the intelligence coordination section for critical information. The Planning Coordination Chief. The mission of the Planning Coordination Chief is to oversee the development of continuality of operations and recovery plans. Create action plans as directed by the emergency manager or operations coordination. Monitor ongoing conditions and maintain safety awareness for non-responders. This person must think strategically and direct others in the section to focus on long-term, not intermediate needs. He or she must also delegate and subdivide tasks among team members, as well as request assistance from resource coordination, intelligence coordination, and safety officer. The Investigation and Intelligence Coordination Chief. The mission of the Investigation and Intelligence Coordination Chief is to perform an ongoing assessment of the information and intelligence critical to the incident, collect, coordinate, and disseminate relevant national and local information to the scene, intelligence section, and EOC staff. This person must have a strong investigative and management skill. They must be detail-oriented and must possess good writing skills and review skills, and must have technical orientation and utilize electronic searches internal to the organization as well as external tools. The Resource Coordination Chief. The mission of the Resource Coordination Chief is to order, document, and stage all resources needed to facilitate incident consequence management, continuality of operations, and scene support. Also provide alternate facilities, supplies, communication, food services, information technology support. And when not following actual requests, be proactive in researching availability of resources for the future. He or she must have good management skills with an orientation toward detailed documentation. Also, will provide subdivided tasks with the team and manage flow of requests from other sections within the EOC and from logistics sections at the scene. The Finance and Administration Coordination Chief. The mission of the Finance and Administration Coordination Chief is to, during major incidents, require consequence management and continuality of operations, record incident costs for reimbursement, record personnel time records, record incident-related compensation claims requests, and approve and process emergency purchase orders. This person must have a finance background as well as purchasing and payroll, and should know the documentation standards for claims during a declared emergency situation at state and federal level. In the end, the EOC will operate long after first responders have completed their jobs and have gone home, as they will be tasked with the recovery for the organization's facilities and personnel.